3, 2, 1, go. Welcome to Grounds After Rounds.
5, 4, 3.
You can't even shake him. I know. He's like, geez.
2, 1.
What do you want me to do?
Nothing.
Nothing. Welcome
To Grounds After Rounds.
Yeah.
I'm your host, Drew Bauer. No,
Wait. Oh man. That's Drew Bauer.
that's Drew Bauer.
Holy crap. With a nice hit. Did you get a haircut?
I did.
Just for this?
No.
Did
Which
you get
one?
it yesterday?
This one right here was bothering me, so I got it cut.
There you go.
No, actually, what it is in COVID, the whole grooming thing kind of slowed down for me because I never went to work. But
Well,
I'm actually
because
going into the
because you
office.
had beautiful hair
So,
dyed.
yeah,
Let's be
jet
real
black.
That's
careful
right,
about it.
jet black. But I actually shaved today, and I brushed my hair, so
Mhm.
it actually looks like I have a haircut frequently now.
That makes sense.
So you did not get a haircut recently. You just brushed your hair.
I got a haircut maybe a week and a half ago, but I brushed my hair.
I
Yeah,
gotcha. And
yeah.
so then it looks like you actually got a haircut.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
Nice.
That's good.
It's a great thing. Like you polish up well when you're in t-shirts and shorts for most of the time.
Yeah, we set
Yeah.
standards low. I mean, that's our whole model here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Set expectations low, disappoint as early as possible. That way people don't expect much from you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then when you exceed the
Yeah, when you
expectation,
see that,
you're
wow,
a
that place
freaking
was
rock
awesome.
star.
Like if you act like you show up on time, you're actually nice to people. It's like they're absolutely amazed.
It's like a treat.
Yeah.
Then I show up and work in a suit and they're like, "Are you interviewing for a new
Yeah,
job?
did somebody
What's going on?
did somebody pass away?
Right.
Is that, was
Is that
that-
a new job?"
Yeah. Is everything okay? Are you getting fired? Are we getting fired? Somebody's getting fired. Who's getting fired?
Oh my god. Oh my god. Gosh.
All right, good.
Yeah.
Good tandem sit pause. Well
Yes.
done. All right, man. Welcome back. So continuing our Behind the Fitness, Where Are They Now series. You heard it. You had some FOMO. You thought you'd jump on the bandwagon.
Yeah. Well, if Duncan did it, I had to follow up with that.
Which I completely appreciate. I will say Duncan and I, well, sort of going back and forth, mainly me. I've been reading the books that he recommended, those Jack Carr, which is about this like burned Navy SEAL who in the first one just goes on a killing revenge rampage.
Physically burned? Or,
No, like
gotcha.
yeah, that like burned.
Yeah.
Burn notice, but he's
Right.
not a spy, but then he
Right.
becomes a spy. And yeah, it's just completely over the top, super gruesome. Jack Carr was a former Navy SEAL. They're awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm in the middle of finishing the second one and I text him. I'm like, do you just sit around and beep all the time over all the gear? So much gear. I mean, the guy talks about like Sig Sauer, H and K and P5s and like shoes and Velcro and tactical gear and this weapon and that weapon. And
If it's
I could just-
accessories. and
I could
stuff,
just see
it's-
Duncan going, I'm out of breath. Oh, this is so glorious. It's so wonderful. So I texted him. He didn't respond back yet.
He's bad. He's not good at getting back, but I understand that because I'm not good at texting back either.
No, me neither.
But I'll text him a question. I'll text him a question. I'll get a text like 4 days later.
Man, I didn't really need a
And
response.
but he'll say like, "Oh, what was your question?" I was like, "It's right there in the text.
You just read it.
You just
Yeah.
read it."
I would just say though that the cold brew pot that he has, I think mine's better. We always have a passive aggressive competition.
So I like
Too
what
much
you said too about it with it being plastic.
Yeah.
So strike number one. I don't know enough about it,
The
but
filter
so,
kills me.
so I've gone back to using mine, and that's what I've been drinking for the last 2 weeks. Basically, since we had that podcast, I had
Yeah.
FOMO on cold brew.
Right.
I like mine, that like beaker one with the sleeve in the center.
Yeah, that's basically what
It works perfectly.
Yeah.
I do it for 18 hours. I've got the, it's 100 grams to 1,000 milliliters of
Yeah.
water, and I let it sit there, and then I have it, and I do 8 ounces of the cold brew concentrate with 4 ounces of water, 2 ounces of that better half creamer, and fill the rest with ice, shake it in this.
How much coffee you put in?
8 ounces of coffee,
Uh-huh.
4 ounces of,
Water.
no, 8 ounces of, 8 ounces of coffee, 2 ounces of the better half creamer, fill it with ice till it's almost to the top, and then fill the rest with water.
So what we're saying is Duncan's recommendation was,
What I'm
So
saying
we
is
might-
I
so we're not digging for sponsors
Well,
on the.
Not on that, whatever
Yeah.
that booty.
Well,
booty
I would just
calls,
say what I appreciate,
coffee maker
what I
thing
appreciate in the
was.
conversation is like co-brewing is an art,
Yes.
and we all have different
Yes.
perspectives, and it's
Yes.
awesome to compare, contrast.
I think
and-
where he's got the mark is the boots, awesome.
Yeah.
But
visited-
B,
I
His
visited- I
setup is
vi-
cool too, though.
his setup
Yeah,
is
his
awesome,
yes.
and he uses good coffee.
Yes.
That's where he's got me on it. Is I'm still like a cheap
It's
ass.
cheap
Like,
guy.
what's that? Oh, $4.99.
He
Done.
has
I
that.
look for the green or the
Yeah.
yellow tags.
I visited him at the boot shop, and I was that close to getting a pair,
Oh.
and I got vetoed by Aaron. Dad, if you walk out of this store with boots, my mom is gonna kill you. I said, she's actually my mom. too,
Oh,
Kayla.
so gotcha.
Yeah.
So it wasn't Aaron vetoing them. because
she
Aaron didn't
warned
like
me. Of
Yeah.
the veto that was
Okay,
on
because I say if
yeah.
Aaron's saying don't get them, well, all the more reason for you to get them and
Yeah.
then take her to school in them.
Yeah.
And that, and
Yeah.
like your robe.
And
Like,
do like
if you wear
the
one,
Cotton Eye
yeah.
Joe as you drop her
Yeah.
off, in your robe and boots and a cowboy hat.
But last Duncan, like he totally gets it though. Like,
Yes,
that
he
thing-
does.
Why he does that? It's like it's the coolest thing ever, and
I
I
agree.
admire that.
Should we just turn this episode into a Duncan tribute?
Well, no, we had a loop around.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
yeah.
because
No,
so
it's-
that's
you guys
what
are all
brought-
neighbors too. Like
Yeah.
I always used to have
Yes.
FOMO when you guys get together. It's like, I want to live in
Uh-huh.
Kitty Creek.
There's always a house for sale.
It is.
Sometimes they're
Or a
better
room
than
for
others. Well, when the boys leave, you can have the basement.
Yeah.
You guys can
Cool.
move it and we'll finish it off. That's actually my grant. That's a long-term grand scheme.
That's
Finish that basement
Yeah.
off with that sliding glass door. You can come around the side,
Mhm.
put a bathroom down there, turn it into actually like a nice little room.
Living suite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say, where have I been? Well, I'm back.
He's back.
Did we ask where he's been yet?
We didn't
did.
ask.
Okay.
That's okay. We did before.
Yeah.
Hey, where have you been?
I'm back.
Oh,
But I would say I was gone for a while.
That's good.
it's pretty
Um,
bitch.
So I would say the lead up to my separation, my legal separation
From Fairwinds.
from Fairwinds.
You were on
um,
hold. You were never actually separated. We were on a break.
Yeah. No, I think it's a lot of things. COVID slowed me down. Had a family member who was hospitalized for 5 months, and that was fun. And what's really weird is I always said if I had more time, I'd train more, but
Not
more
true.
time worked against me.
Yeah.
But I would also
That's what a lot of people
say
thought, too.
It's not true.
I'm really good at listening, but the one thing I didn't listen is I was absolutely overtraining.
Yes.
I'd love a
And-
sandwich too, by
Yeah.
the way. Oh, I'm sorry.
He wasn't listening.
I wasn't.
This is why I put
I
you
was-
two together.
I was
I can't
absolutely
be in between that.
I was absolutely overtraining, and I also think that I have a bias towards being stronger than moving better in certain things. So it's kind of a freight train.
And you do know that strength is the forceful or the effective application of power is the effective application of strength.
Yes,
And so you could be strong, but still absolutely useless.
yes.
Okay, good.
And that's kind of where I was going. So I kind of knew it was coming. Like, so there's like historical injuries I talked about the last time. Is like with the knee
Mhm.
that was always there. Like I smashed my knee against a rock when I was in high school, and every once in a while,
Because everyone told you not to do that.
yeah.
Stop smashing.
But it would show up in burpees, it would show up in box jumps, it would show up in dubs and all that stuff. And it
Mhm.
was just super annoying. I knew it was coming. So with COVID slowing down diet, it just got very chronic and super annoying to the point where other fellow 8 a.m. gym members like, what's your problem? Stop complaining, do something about it.
Say 8 a.m. Do we have an 8 a.m.
We don't have
class?
an 8 a.m.
We don't have an 8 a.m.
class.
class.
5 a.m.
What gym have you been going to? I
5
knew it.
a.m. 5 a.m. So, well, maybe there was another gym.
Unfaithful.
Sorry. So I would just say the fun part was the epic end was the one workout we were doing. I think it was squat cleans at 155 or clean and jerks at 155. And
Sounds
it
about
was
right.
awesome. I loved it, but I knew it was the end because it was just my knee was
On
trashed
fire.
on fire. So finally saw a doctor, acute tendonitis and whole other stuff going in there. And so it's time to make a move. So like everybody, you go to, see a doctor, you go to PT.
And which PT did you go to?
I went to a pain management first to start.
Oh, right.
And it was
And now
just-
it's useless.
it was good to address specific acute pain, which is what they do. But
Yeah.
they don't do
Is
the
Annapolis Pain Management?
I don't even know the
I
name, but
forget
it was
if it's
something
that's-
affiliated with one of the medical centers, and it was
Gotcha.
effective in the beginning.
Yeah.
So saw Christine at I don't even know the name of the practice. Like
It's FX,
FX
Physical
Physical
Therapy.
freaking amazing.
Located-
Yeah, she's
It's
amazing.
Park
Brian
area.
is amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah.
And it's performance based. It's looking at different things, looking at structure of your legs, looking at how you move,
Yeah.
and prescribing a path forward.
And if you too are struggling with some sort of movement, pain, or just dysfunction that has bothered you, you can check out FX Physical Therapy at www. I don't even know their
FX
Yeah.
Physical Therapy.
FX in Savannah Park.
.com.
We also have brochures in the gym. Come pick them up.
And there's one opening in Annapolis in
Yay!
November. But to the point is,
Brian and Christina are there. I ain't going. That's
So-
true. I'm sure they have great.
so what I would say is what really changed there is Christine actually looked at my leg, my injured leg. And while the knee is the issue, she's
Oh,
like,
the other guy was looking at your non-injured leg.
well, actually
He's
looking
checking
at
out
the
his
full
ears.
leg, looking at the full leg.
Didn't get past his
And so,
haircut.
so
She's
she
like,
was,
you have an amazing haircut.
she
so
was
we can cut
making,
them off.
thank you. So she made measurements of my legs and
Ah.
basically she's like, do you know that your quad is like on your injured leg is like 30% smaller than the one on your left leg? I
That could
was
be
like,
problematic.
wow. And then also I looked down, I was like totally self-conscious, like, holy shit, like I can even see it.
What if like a peg leg over here, like a
Yeah.
pirate?
So a lot of really,
It's like Tropicana Twister. Like his one arm is absolutely huge,
Yeah.
his other one isn't.
Yeah.
so long story short, that it's the knee, but all the
That's so
structure
bad.
around it and how I was moving wasn't right. And it makes total sense.
Yeah.
So kind of hiding behind strength instead of good movement to do
Yeah.
that. So I think that's kind of where it got me. So that helped. I got on the knees over toes guy kick
Yeah.
and I walked backwards and I did all kinds of funky,
Yeah.
You did great.
like cringing things that just make no sense, but it works.
Yeah.
I did everything I could to debunk what it was, but it just works. And it just takes a long time to rehabilitate a tendon issue, which you
Yeah.
always said to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's about 6 months of rehabilitation. I can tell you where I started, I could not be in a car for 20 minutes
Without pain.
Oh, wow.
without pain.
Oof.
And doing all the pickup that I do with kids, it was an
Yeah.
issue. And that was my measure. I was like, I can't be in a freaking car. I'm not going to the gym to do this. I'm going to walk backwards. I'm going to do knees over toes and
Yeah.
all this other funky stuff and have Christine torture me with all the things that she did
Yeah.
until I got it. So I did that and it worked. And then the third thing I did was to get back to swimming because it was to take the stress off the knee joint
Right.
and do that. And it was also just kind of a reflection for me because I now know that I 100%, even though I came every day, I cherry picked what I did and what I was willing to go
Yep.
all out in.
Yeah.
So a couple things in swimming is up front is the interval training. I kind of just stopped paying attention here. So when I started swimming there, I was tired. I was overtraining and I stopped like doing what I should be doing. So
He's picking up what you're putting down.
I know. So I know. So I start with just a regular benchmark 500-meter swim or 500-yard swim.
Yeah.
And it was kind of slow from what I compared to do. But this idea of building up your endurance through interval training
Mhm.
actually works. So that was one thing. I was like, wow. So by the end of it, I was swimming 100-meter intervals with a rest combined when I stitched 5 together, and I was a minute faster than the 500 by itself with rest intervals, which was like, and faster than I ever was
Yeah.
when I was just swimming uninjured. And the key was the second part of my cherry picking story was we would always train and do butterfly, backstroke, and breaststroke. And I do breaststroke, but butterfly and backstroke, like that's just stupid. I hate this. I feel stupid doing these motions and I hate it. And the coach is like, I'm just here to help you
Right.
lay this out here, not unlike what you guys would always say to me. I'm like, I just fucking hate butterfly. I don't want to do it.
Yeah. I don't like warming up.
I don't like warming up.
I don't need to do the mobility.
And lo and
afterwards.
behold, my intervals improved the minute I just sucked it up and started flopping in the water and doing butterfly and doing backstroke. So it kind of gets to the things, I don't like doing here. It's like, it was a great reset. So long story short, what got me back here was physical therapy, knees over toes, and swimming. I did a 10-day cross-country trip,
Yeah.
not a single ounce of
That's
knee
awesome.
pain.
That was sort of your
That's
measure.
totally what I was. Go ahead.
That was your measure of like,
Yeah,
okay, I
yeah.
feel safe.
So it
coming back to
wasn't
the gym.
perfect.
Right.
I wasn't looking for perfection, but my benchmark was, can I be in a car and actually not
20 minutes, let
think
alone
of-
days
of
at a time.
days at a time?
Yeah.
And then what I last say is coming in, I'm still reminded, I'm still rehabilitating from a tendon injury.
and I'm not all the way-
30-year tendon injury.
Correct. Not an injury in the box, but injury. I've been dealing with this for 30 years.
Yeah.
And so I was screwing out dubs and I was like, not ready for that.
Yeah.
So
That
I
was
need
a
to
good
back
call
up.
yesterday. And then today too. You
Yeah.
could run,
Yeah.
but why?
Yeah.
We're gonna put a lot of strain
Or
on
I
this
could
stuff.
absolutely deadlift more than what I did.
Yeah, but why?
But because what I don't do in my deadlift is I don't engage my glutes and I don't engage.
You were today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of my thing. So I'm not going, I'll go heavy every once in a while just because I
Yeah.
need to, but
Something around, every 6 to 8 days,
yeah.
kind of like the programming,
Yeah.
every
6
6
to
to
8
8 days. we
So
do
I'm
it.
here more humble and I'll listen better. At least I'll try.
Yeah.
I'll work on my intervals and I'll do the shit that I don't like doing.
So I think it's interesting. You're a perfect example of somebody comes, class is 60 minutes and you're a numbers guy. You like numbers.
Yeah.
So if class is 60 minutes and
Your class is 60 minutes.
the WOD brief at the whiteboard, class starts, let's say 5 a.m. WOD brief goes from 5 a.m. to 5:03. We just used 20% of the class for the WOD brief.
Right.
Then the warm up is, let's say, another 5 minutes.
Right.
That's 12 or that's 1/12 of the workout.
Right.
Now, that 5 minutes, if you lay it out, tell you what it is, in that 5 minutes, you don't do anything. You just spent 1/12 of the workout doing nothing. Could be movement, could be that cardiovascular, that, respiratory endurance stuff. And then we do the skill work. And maybe in the skill work, it's 20 minutes. That's a third of the 60-minute workout. And in that 20 minutes, you're supposed to build up to something heavy, but people don't. They decide like, oh, I'm just going to mess around, or I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Or, they spend their time standing there and it's like, no, go get your weights.
Yeah.
So you're walking over to the rack and you're picking up weight and you're walking that weight back. So that, I think, is a part that
Yeah.
I forget, maybe it was Shannon or it was somebody else we were talking about it, is that it is 60 minutes and it is 60 minutes where you could be deliberate the entire 60 minutes.
Yeah.
And if you are deliberate the entire 60 minutes, I guarantee you, whether it's 5x5 deadlift, a day like today, where it's almost 30 minutes of hard, like today is such an easy day to feel like I finally got a really good workout.
Yeah.
Because it's built, you're going for 30 minutes. I don't care if you stand holding grocery bags for 30 minutes, you're going to start sweating and you're going to feel like you got a good workout. So that one's like a no-brainer.
Everett fell asleep at dinner the other night. I was holding him like this for almost 2 hours and my chest was sweaty and my arms were still sore.
Yeah. Great.
That was a
You
good
held a
damn
baby
workout.
for 30 minutes. Like
Yeah.
that's a workout. So the days that looking at the WOD on the board, if you go like, oh, why should I bother coming? It's like, it's 60 minutes. And at this stage in the game, been doing this almost 6 years. If you don't, now it's not you, because you do get it, but somebody who's been doing it for longer than 3 or 4 months, if you don't appreciate, like, it doesn't matter what's written on the board, if you are deliberate and intentional for the entire 60 minutes. And that means like you've pulled into the garage 7 minutes before your slated class time, or sorry, into the driveway or whatever, 7 minutes before your slated class time has started.
It takes you back, doesn't
It
it?
does, instantly. You've gotten out of your car and grabbed the things you need. Your bag was packed before you left the house, so you don't have to be like, oh wait, my jump rope's in my glove compartment. Oh wait, my knee wraps are in the back seat. Oh wait, my shoes are in the trunk. Oh wait, like
That's my
put
inner
your
voice.
shit in your bag at home before you leave your house. Put your bag in your back seat. When you pull into the driveway, take your bag out of your car and walk into the gym. That way, when it starts and we say at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 9:30, and we start describing the workout, you're paying attention. You're like, okay, great. Because every minute spent, wait, what was that? Is a minute stolen from you.
Yeah.
That's what it really comes down to.
So what I would say is my efficiency of the warm up and the skill work isn't there yet, because in my head, what I'm processing is I always would be like, how heavy can I go?
Mhm.
So I'm peeling that back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm
Instead of saying,
deciding the
how
day
better
before.
can I move?
Yeah, it's so I have to do that. That's the one thing I'm dealing
You're
with.
doing better. I would say it is a game-changing paradigm shift since you've been back, but we've talked
Yeah.
about it a ton.
And the second thing is the modifications that I do that are based on knees over toes or other
Mhm.
things that I'm doing. Because when I feel, because the one thing that he says is when you're rehabilitating, if there's something painful, back the F off.
Yeah.
And so there's been certain
So
things,
what
and
I
I
would
just,
say-
and I just don't know.
But what
'cause
I
I'm
would say in your
programmed.
warm-ups, it's totally different. You used to, in the warm-up, just stand there.
Yeah.
You would just stand there and like lean against the rig and be like, what are you doing? You're like, I'm moving. And and sometimes you even be on your phone.
Yeah.
Like now in the warm-up, you might not be doing what the movement was that the coach demoed, but you're doing something, doing
Yeah.
exactly what you're doing. You're
Yeah.
navigating into it. So your deliberateness and your intention is a totally different level of
Yeah.
focus to get it to what you're describing. Like, okay, cool. I want to do the lunges. How do I do the lunges
Mhm.
so that they're as close to the movement as possible, but don't hurt?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. No, it's been totally different.
Yeah. And I also think that it's sort of like you always say, like kind of starting over again and the newness of it.
Mhm.
It kind of gives you that thing. Cause I also think it's just like when you're grinding and you're overtraining, it's a little bit of like, God, just keep doing like,
Well,
it's
because
not-
you plateau.
Yeah.
And not only do you
Yeah.
plateau, you start to degrade
Yeah.
because you got this thing called age.
Yeah.
Like we're
Yeah.
not 26, 27, 22.
Yeah.
Like there you can move like shit
Yeah.
and continue to
Yeah.
get a little bit
Yeah.
better because you're spending your genetic potential.
Yeah. Yeah.
Post 35, nope, sorry.
Yeah.
That genetic potential has been spent and you are effed. Doesn't mean you can't keep getting better and
Right.
hitting PRs, but now you have to, exactly what you're saying is you're going to get them by moving better. By moving better, you'll be more efficient. By
Mhm.
being more efficient, you will quote unquote get stronger
Yeah.
because you're moving more loads faster.
And so I would also say going back to swimming and starting over there was really encouraging.
Yeah.
To see the results. And for the first time, I actually could apply CrossFit to that. And I was faster than what I was.
And I think your application of seeing how even with rest, what interval training shows is that, again, an efficient application of force through an entire time domain will yield more power output. So if you're trying to swim that 500 and you come out in your first 100 way too fast and you're not resting per se, you're not
Yeah.
programming in the rest, you're still going to rest. You're just going to rest somewhere else.
Yeah.
Versus what you were doing was I want to hold this specific time for this 100 and then I'm going to rest.
Right.
I'm going to hold this specific time for this
Exactly.
100. You're training consistent movement sub-lactic
Yes.
threshold
100%.
that then you can take a little bit of that rest away, take a little bit of that rest away, and it never changes. And you've just
100%.
moved your baseline.
And so that's where
of
like
your
the
lactate
Apple
threshold.
Watch in the pool is the greatest thing.
I would say the wearable, the Garmin in the gym.
Something
This
because
is the difference.
and the other thing I'm struggling with is how
That's why we moved from the couch.
Doing great.
is how the hell can that work in like I still don't have that in
You're the
CrossFit yet,
judge.
and I'm struggling with measuring my intervals.
So I would say you
In the
can't.
Y.
Yeah. So this is the conversation I had with Matt and Josh because Matt's been wearing a Whoop for about 4 months now.
Yeah.
We just got Josh a Garmin because
Yeah.
he's getting a little FOMO on it, and now
Yeah.
Matt kind of wants the Garmin.
Okay.
The Whoop's great. You need the phone, and it's.
I just don't have your Whoop on.
I don't wear any. I'm
You're done
done.
with Whoop?
Yeah, I canceled it. It's a great device. It does exactly what it says it's going to do. It's not great for what I want to do, and I want the data. They don't give you the data outside of their curated
Right.
specific thing. And if that's what you want them to tell you what you should be doing. Awesome. I just want the data to be able to then apply it to what
Right.
I want. So it's I think Apple does the same thing or
Yeah.
more similar to something like a Garmin.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know their interface and
Yeah.
it's confusing to me.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. Swimming, anything monostructural, swimming, biking, rowing, whatever, it is designed to be a steady state heart rate. Like you get to a level and you stay at that level because it's single modality. Something like CrossFit, which is multimodality. And somebody yesterday made a comment of like, well, CrossFit's just like HIIT. It's just high intensity interval training. No, that is a 100% inaccurate statement. High intensity interval training it's like saying, well, I mean, bananas and kumquats they're the same thing. I mean, they're fruit.
Right.
They're just fruit. So, I mean, I don't understand. Like, they are completely different things. High intensity interval training is like fruit. CrossFit is food. It's a methodology. It's a way to prepare
Right.
Makes
high
sense.
intensity interval training, multi-modality or single modality strength training,
That's a good
it-
one.
like
That's a good
all
one.
of that stuff.
Yeah.
It is a methodology that applies something like high intensity interval training across a broad scope to improve your work capacity. And that's the difference. And then I assign your work capacity and his work capacity to your fitness. And I can measure and say, if he does more work than you, he is fitter. And then over time, if he does more work than himself 6 months ago, he is fitter. My methodology is working. You can use that tracker. You need to get the data on when a workout. Today is a perfect example. You had monostructural, gymnastics, weightlifting. And it was all about the same. The monostructural was about we'll just round it up, was about
Sure.
5 minutes of work. The one gymnastics movement was about a minute and a half of work. The one weightlifting was about a minute and a half, a minute of work. You could look at your 3 rounds, and what you should see is a little bit of a spike on the monostructural, a dip,
Right.
a little bit of a spike on the
That's true. I
gymnastics,
gotta-
a
should look at
dip,
my-
and a little bit of spike
gotta
on the
hit it.
weightlifting, and then a big dip because we took the 2-minute
Yeah,
rest.
I need to, that's what I can. do.
And what you can see is if the monostructural spikes you and then the gymnastics goes way down and then the weightlifting spikes you, then you're going too hard on the
Right.
monostructural. It should be sort of this just like gradual rise and then a recovery and a gradual rise and a recovery. And so does that make sense?
So it does. And what I would say is, I love today. Like, it
Yes.
kicked my ass.
But it's such a great training workout.
Because exactly it, like, I
Yeah.
didn't go heavy, but I was in the mindset of treating it like I treated swimming. and
Yes,
seeing the
yes,
rest interval and doing it.
100%.
And it was like, I came out and it was like, hell yeah. Like I was
And
was
the bike is
focusing back
perfect
here.
for that.
Like it was great. So last thing I'll say in the challenge and coming back is, if I haven't said it publicly, I 100% am passive aggressive and aware of what everybody's doing and watching how people are finishing. And so Shelly went out like a jackrabbit and I'm like, God damn it.
But she only ran a 600.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I'm
She
totally-
actually didn't. If you were to look at her times, like she was not that.
but still, this is the other stimulus. So I have
Mhm.
that. And then I was watching John. I'm like, God damn it. He's coming at me. So same thing happens in the pool. So there's this guy, Tom, who is in my lane. And so I'm constantly paying attention to this. So like I'm working on the scaling and the other things, and I still have this passive aggressive, like watching what everybody's doing.
It sounds more like competitiveness.
It is, but that's also why.
But he's not letting anybody know.
No,
Right.
it's
That's
totally
the passive aggressive
makes sense.
part.
right. And then I'll like, even with now that Lily comes here, and I didn't know her name until now because she
I'm
wasn't in
trying
my
to
lane.
beat you, but I'm not going to tell you.
But I'm
Exactly.
always-
right. And then when I win, I'm going to taunt you.
I'm
You're like,
always,
I didn't
yeah.
even know we were racing, dude.
But my point is like, that's why I love this. So there's that element. And so like, that's why I totally do this and why I get it is like, like I've always been competitive. Coaching kind of got away with it, but that's why I think like this kind of grounds me in a lot of ways and it works. So what I would add is where I'm going with this is kind of like the Hefner Bridges, do something outside
Yeah.
the gym.
Yeah.
And I want to fuse.
That's Jacob Hettner, Josh Bridges. They did a boxing match. Jacob Hettner beat Josh Bridges by decision, but both of them were like, this was awesome. Never going to box again, probably, but it's
Right.
great to go out, CrossFit, learn and play new sports.
Yes.
Often that's the
So my goal is to find a way to adapt CrossFit and swimming at night and create a schedule where I'm not overtraining and I can do both of those with the idea of going back to the base swim and actually doing it right. Because I think I was too one-dimensional in just CrossFit to swim it, and I did not get the results I wanted. So
Yeah.
what I want to do is to find a way to kind of hybrid and commit to a little bit outside. But I just see like the way they work together.
So this is where CrossFit should never leave you. If you're doing that,
Mhm.
you look at CrossFit, it's like his team, the Beasts are a
Yeah.
perfect example.
Yes,
CrossFit is their strength and conditioning program.
yes,
GPP. And so every day you're in here, it's exactly what you're doing. It's intentional. You're finding ways to move better, not faster, stronger. And like, it should never leave you on the ground. Oh my God, maybe once or twice a month.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? If it's
Yeah.
a benchmark and it's a benchmark
Yeah.
you've done before and you're like, screw it, I'm going for it.
Going for it.
But a day like today is a perfect day. When
Yeah.
you were done, you should never flop on the ground after a
Yeah.
day workout like today.
Yeah.
It's a, whew, whew, but
Right.
when you go back and you look at the numbers, you should be in that 70 to 80% heart
Mhm.
rate, zone 3, middle zone 4. And it should be that consistent dunk, 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 recover. Dunk, dunk, dunk. And it kind of goes up across, but it never trips red line. And that's it. And if it does on one of the movements, you either went too heavy, you went too
100%.
fast on the erg. And that's where, if you're treating a day like today, doing something on a machine, rower, erg, or bike, even the echo bike, or maybe even
Yeah.
the ski erg, because you get that immediate feedback. That running, eventually you could, if you're, I look at like a Luis or an Ed or John, even when he is running,
Yeah.
they don't need a screen in front of them to know exactly how fast they're running.
Yeah.
Because they've,
There's a feel.
yeah, exactly. And that's totally legit. And they can go back after the fact
Mhm.
and look and be like, yeah, I was running about, a 6.5, 7 minute mile. And
Yeah.
I stayed right at that 140, 145 for most. John, maybe a little bit lower. Age and heart rate do correlate
Yeah.
a bit. So that would be, and there are a lot of people like you in the gym where they're using the time here as a means to do something else better. Katie O'Brien was a perfect example. She was training for and is going to do a half Ironman. So she was using the workouts 2 to 3 times a week. Unfortunately, I think she still did too much mileage outside. So she's
Try to get
working
Bryce to back off the mileage.
yeah,
sometimes,
she's working on some bone spurs and like other things
Yeah.
that popped
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with overtraining. That might just
Yeah.
be what
And-
life.
Yeah.
And getting to my thing is we're in my head, my plan for going back to the base swim is swimming will be a technical skill refinement activity.
Yeah.
My capacity and my engine
Come from here.
comes here.
So that's another way to look at it.
Yeah.
If you were a field sport athlete, I would say that's a very similar way to look at it.
Yeah.
Endurance athletes struggle to look at it that way.
Yeah.
So that is hard because you're going to go to swim practice and they're going to want, swimmers are still locked into, I've got to, the bigger the base of my pyramid,
Yeah.
the faster I can go. So long, slow distance training, though there are a lot out there that are coming to the middle somewhere. Yes.
So where it will be different is I'm not going to be swimming outside of the class to get, like what I was doing previously was like go on Sunday and sit in
How
the
are you gonna
pool.
swim inside the class? We don't have a pool. We have a creek.
Well,
Um,
I mean, we're working with KJ to get that indoor pool
Yeah.
underneath with the retractable doors.
Yeah.
And the
So,
pad,
yeah. So what I would say is like, what I'd like to kind of
Cardio deck
focus
first.
on the beast a little bit, kind of touching upon what I think this does for externals. Without naming names, how many underclassmen varsity athletes has your program produced?
Oh, I don't know.
A ton.
Yeah.
So your numbers are anecdotal. It
Yeah.
might actually be worth like looking at that.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I'll just speak.
Well,
in-
I'll say I was, when I heard all the, especially the football players that were playing varsity, I was like, no way. All right, cool. Like it's
ridiculous.
not that I didn't think they were capable. I think like, yeah, freshmen and sophomores play
That's
for
not
the most
normal.
part JV.
Yeah.
And but like, some of these guys, like sometimes too, it's you get put on JV because you're not, maybe it's not that the skills aren't there, you're just not physically there to keep up with juniors and seniors, like because you might get killed. And so when I heard some of these guys, I'm like,
Yeah.
well, that makes sense because they're strong and they put in work. And so it was,
And I would offer with your baseball group, you've got Josh,
Mhm.
Dylan, 2 others that came for the thing that Gus had
Tommy,
to do.
Liam.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't make, but Josh, Dylan, and there were 2 others that made varsity.
Oh, yeah.
For that,
Yeah.
for this year.
And so what I would offer is one, parents, put your kids in peace if you want them to have an edge, just do it. But what I would,
If that matters to
Yeah.
you. I mean,
But-
it's more
and it
more
doesn't-
about
it
the love
doesn't.
of the
Yeah,
game.
yeah. But what I would say
Getting
is
strong
what
helps.
Seat at the table,
and it's
baby.
It gets back to what excited me about this was like the meathead, be as strong as you possibly can. What I would speak for my son and what it did for him had nothing to do with absolute strength, because I think he did well in things, but he wasn't always the strongest. The confidence that gave him in the context of his team. So what happened to him was, I was like, well, you got to keep going. He's like, Dad, I got to go train with the team. And that's the way they do it. What happened to him, he got into that training situation. The coaches were going to him
Yeah.
to demonstrate
good for Connor.
how to move
correctly.
Because they didn't know how to do it and they didn't know how to cue it.
And,
Which is-
and that fast forwarded into Colin being, sorry, my son being more confident,
We all know his name.
but more confident in a sport on a team than he has ever been. And that just kept going and going and
Yeah.
going to the point of like watching, I was like, holy, like I am an absolute wreck watching this kid on the field because it's like, what the hell just happened? And I just go back to not, he's the strongest kid. Yes, he's strong, but it's like, I just feel this program and what it does to teach people how to move well.
And comfortable.
And then
moving
that
well.
is a tool
Yeah.
that they can use and be confident. It's awesome.
I love seeing the shift with him too, where like he would come and he would train, but he liked hanging out with his buddies.
Mhm.
And he was like me whenever I took Mary's class, like I finished coaching and then I could actually work out with the class. And I was just like an ass because I was like, I like talking to this person, I like messing with this person. And
Yeah.
and he would come in and when the clock started, he would go. But like then he went and did football and then they were training and you were telling me how it's like, yeah, he's actually like helping other dudes and like taking
Yeah.
away look here. Then when he would come back here, he was like more focused than he ever was
Yeah.
before because now he's like,
solid
I've
apply.
got
Yeah.
this thing that
Yeah.
like, and it's I've seen it in a couple athletes too, where like, this is like their thing and it's really cool because they take such ownership of it and then take it out of here.
So
Yeah.
basically,
Other
this
things, so
this is the third of
It gives me
these.
chills.
Yeah,
Yeah, agreed.
it is.
Yeah.
This is a third of these behind the scenes where fourth with Trevor.
Yeah.
But and even with Trevor, the theme being Shannon, you, Duncan, is that CrossFit, it's working outside of just the observable, measurable, repeatable, is when your movement and your movement through, almost metaphorically, your movement through the world feels better.
Yeah.
And is more empowered and is more functional in the sense of it lets you do what you want to do.
Yes.
That's always the part that, okay, well, how do I quantify that? And I can't. I mean, it is a 100% qualitative thing. Again, you quantified it with, you could sit in a car, and as you said, not just 20 minutes at a time, but for an entire day across a 10-day trip across the country.
Yeah.
And then a flight back. So it can be quantified, but I would offer that is still a very qualified
100%.
but I'm okay with that. It just always cracks me up of, I know this, you now know this. And it's not until you go away from it and feel like, oh, what am I? I stopped going to the gym.
Yeah.
And that's what brings you back. And then you're here for 5 or 6 months and then you forget again. You go, oh, right. I have to
But
go
even
back.
more intangible too is I looked at the calendar and work's kicking in, travel's kicking in, all these things.
You need this.
I need this
Yes.
to do it.
So you're not
And
such
it's
a
funny
dingo
because
berry.
I'm in meetings and
Dingo head.
Dingo head, right?
I'm caffeinated,
work.
but like people at work know. People at work know like you're back at the gym again.
He's coming in hot, folks. Bauer's coming in hot.
He's looking damn good in that suit.
But it
that's
is like
why.
no, my this is about as dressed I'm getting right now. But it is. So I knew that was the other intangible thing is like I know I need this because work, travel is kicking in that grind.
Mhm.
My time is compressing, but this time becomes that much more important to
Yeah.
just getting through. So yeah.
And it's cool. I think I hope you're not having some buyer's remorse, having the rig at home and the bar and the plates and stuff.
Yeah.
Because
no.
I will offer to you, I ebb and flow. Like, so today's workout, I did all that at home. I finished the 5, beat feet, walked the dogs, got
Cool.
back, and I knocked it out at home and I still do probably 2 or 3 times a week. I don't want to work out around other people from time to time.
Yeah.
I also want to work out with other people from time to time.
So let me go if you want to go there.
Sure.
I
You
did
got
not
time.
buy that equipment for me.
I know.
Yeah. But I will use it. But the other thing in COVID is, I got 3 hours of my day back. And so I coached for 13 years with kids. And COVID just like shut it down for them. They had nothing. So I transitioned my time and that expense to give kids who didn't have access to that an opportunity to do it. So, that was an opportunity to get those kids to do it and see that working out in the driveway.
Yeah.
It's kind of getting back to the basics of how we started.
But I offer that it is still available to you where there are going to be days and times.
Yeah.
And why I say
I
is,
will. No, and a half.
with that, the movement is not about always being perfect
Yeah.
and having it to be in a
Yeah.
60-minute class.
Yeah.
Like we have the Off the Creek published, and
Yes.
people, that's sort of my hope and wish and dream, is that people eventually realize, like, look, you can't make it into the gym one day. Go into your basement, your garage. We did it for 9 months, 6 months,
Mhm.
and just do 15 minutes
Yeah.
of, 30 seconds of jumping jacks, 30 seconds of squats, 30 seconds of push-ups. Do that 3 times through, get
Yeah.
nice and warm,
Yeah.
and then do 100-meter sprint down your end of your driveway.
Yep.
In
Yeah.
the remaining time of 2 minutes, as many burpees as you can, take 30 seconds rest, do that 5 times. You just did a
In that
15, 20 minutes, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's right off the top of my head, that workout will leave you sweaty, tired, stretch for 5 minutes afterwards. Take
What
a
I
shower,
have in
you're out
my
of here.
what
40
I
minutes.
have in my garage is
time for
100% the hack I need to do the hybrid training that I need to do.
Agree.
100%.
And it's one of those where the excuses and the obstacles quickly start evaporating.
Yeah.
And what it leaves is, you have to admit, not you, this is now back to the royal you have to admit, I just don't want to do it. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I can ask, why? Why don't you
Yeah.
want to do it? Why don't you want to feel better?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Right. And then that's outside the scope. I'm going to recommend a psychologist,
Yeah.
psychiatrist at that point. Like, you got dad
So the
issues,
reason why
I
the
don't know.
rig is still out in my driveway though is because there's a couch in my garage that I have to get rid of.
Hey, you're putting Rogue to the test.
It is.
Says
It is.
it's powder coated
Yeah.
and it can be outside without
And
rusting.
so it's a
Let's see
little
if it-
bit of a passive aggressive move on me to Colin. Like, hey man, are you doing any training outside of practice?
Because it's right there.
It's right there, man.
there.
It's sitting there.
Yeah.
Do some pull-ups and anyways, but
10
yes,
minutes of pull-ups.
100% zero buyer's remorse in that. That was
Good.
one of the best things I
Yes,
did.
I agree. Yeah.
And it was a little bit of trophy for me because I took $3,000 to $5,000 of annual travel expense with tolls and bought a fucking gym for my garage.
Yeah. And it's so easy. 2
Yeah.
sets of dumbbells,
Yeah.
a medium and a light.
Yeah.
You don't even need a barbell and plates. You
Yeah.
don't even need a rack. You could just get a pull-up bar that mounts on the wall.
Yeah.
And you have enough equipment to do 90% of what comes out of
Yeah.
the CrossFit.com.
Yeah.
And we're just doing CrossFit.com now with
Yeah.
Cap.
Yeah. Are we?
Yes. We can have a whole we did have a whole podcast episode about that.
Right.
Yeah, 12 years. I've been coaching this for 12 years, doing it for almost 15. Like, it is still as a workout. I love today's workout too, because my goal today was to get it done in 35 minutes with warm up, build, execute, quick little cool down, clean up everything on the shelf. And I'm walking back out of the garage, and I did it. So I started a clock for 35 minutes, and I did different a little bit than this, but 35 minutes, start to finish, from walking into the garage, hitting start on the clock, to walking out of the garage. Maybe it was like 40 extra seconds to wipe some stuff down.
Yeah.
But that is 100% doable. And I got everything out of it that I needed to.
Yeah.
And this is a long one. Like, this is as long as workouts go.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's I would just say, yeah, it's great. And I would just say, it's good to be back. I mean, it's just, it kind of fixes a lot of things, and just, energy levels up, and just, yeah.
Tell you, there was a Drew-shaped hole in that square in the back corner for a long time,
Yeah.
but also in our hearts.
Yeah.
And it's full again. Thank you. So
Do you
we're
hear
glad you're
that?
back
was a
too.
really good little flutter.
So
that
it's
was
great to,
really
I've been
done.
practicing it a lot.
Yeah.
it's great to be,
When is your next audition?
it's great to
It's
be
an audition.
put back in a box
Yes.
and standing in my square.
Yeah.
I've got, unfortunately, you, Nicole, and Shelly, and John are driving me into, I'm having to reconsider the layout of that back wall and where to put that gear.
I'll tell you, I like the plate that you put the 45s.
I
there.
like all of that stuff. What I'm thinking we may have to do is pull up all the green squares and relay them
Mhm.
forward about
Couple
4 to
inches,
5
yeah.
feet. And
feet.
move everything, shift everything to the front, and maybe shorten the squares a little bit, because basically I'm kicking Nicole out of her square, even though that is an overflow square.
Yeah.
She can't use that square. We've got 12 primary squares, and then those 2 in front of the rig
Yeah.
are extra. When we relay the floor, I'm tempted to just
Get rid
not
of the extra.
tape those off. And if somebody wants to work out there,
Yeah.
you know,
I'll
whatever.
draw a chalk square.
Right. But your square is safe. And that's, I like that back there, but it's the pit of despair. There's no airflow. I know. I love that square.
I don't like it because obviously you're moving around a lot, but
Yeah.
like, I don't like when people in that back square because there's so much obstructing my view
Yeah.
from like,
But you can walk down the rig and see them. That's
no,
what I
right.
like.
But like when
And
I'm
they
doing,
don't
like,
see
the-
you coming.
That's true.
They scare the shit out of
That's
him
true.
all the time.
Yeah.
That's true.
But
Gratitudes. What you got? What you got?
I'm first.
Sure. Or he can go first. I can
I'll go first.
Yeah.
I would say a big thank you, and why I actually extended an offer to do this is I have a long overdue thank you to this community for their generosity in supporting the boys that, you know, I was working out in the driveway. Because if you didn't know that support, we were able to bring these kids through the whole CrossFit Open.
Yeah. That's cool.
And
that's fun.
and we made it. So it's the financial support we had to do it, to buy some equipment, but also the coaches, Shelly and Soph and Eric, who were super supportive to bring them in and give them some extra training, and they did it, all of them.
Yeah.
And that was awesome. So a
And
long
Reggie's
overdue.
on varsity. Yeah.
Yeah.
You made it.
Yep, you did.
I kind of miss seeing some of those kids. on
Yeah,
those nights, too.
so a long overdue thank you for that. Super gracious for this community, and also just kind of being that beacon for me, kind of to reset myself and come back and start my day at 5 a.m. with the crew.
That's
So
awesome.
thank you.
Do you want me to go? You want to go last?
Oh, go ahead.
Mine are my boys, the 3, Josh and Andrew, Josh, and Matt. We went camping this last weekend, and it was a shakedown for the haunted camping trip in October that always happens, the Hillsmere and Kitty Creek crew and stuff.
Right.
I always would go, but we would stay in a cabin or whatever because, you know, initially not a big fan of camping, but I got a better tent. And so I told the boys, I was like, look, we are going to do this in September. Went with my buddy and his family. And I said, the whole point here is I want you guys to like test stuff. I want you to, you know, see what kind of food we like. How do we like the cooler setup? Like, what do we want to do? And, you know, and then I want honest opinions of like, I don't want, it was fun. It was good. Like, tell me. And they were awesome. Like, they gave such great feedback. Andrew said he hated it, but I think it's because he was sick. He was
Right.
fighting a cold.
Okay.
I think if he had been a little, but really he said he didn't like the smell of the tent inside. He's not sure if it was the tent or him. He left a little
It's
early.
probably him.
It was him. And I told him that, and he's like, yeah, I kind of figured that out. So, yeah, whatever.
It's a smell
Josh
that's
and
usually
Matt had
him.
great feedback. Matt was like, the food, we got to have a better plan for the food because he hated, like, it was fun and we ate like crap. Monday,
And he felt like
crap.
in that workout.
and so, and Josh kind of the same thing. So I was like,
Yeah.
sweet. So I've got like a whole plan for better camping food that's
Yeah.
not quite as like all donutty and,
Right.
you know, crappy chips and stuff. So I love that they are at an age. And then Josh, Matt, and I had a great time on Saturday night, just kind of chatting around the fire and catch up on things. They're at that age where I can honestly say to them, I don't want just, it's fine. And they don't, like, they actually think about stuff deliberately and they offer real feedback. They offer it with what would be awesome is, and I know that's a little hard, but I was already looking online. They're already coming with like,
Yeah.
this is how we could do it. That's all I need. Cause I'll go, oh, all right, challenge accepted. And then they're cool when it fails miserably.
Yeah.
And they're
Yeah.
cool pivoting
Yeah.
and being like, whatever.
They get that
That's
from
cool.
someone.
Yeah.
They're picking that up from
I
someone.
don't know. So they were awesome. Super, super happy that they did it. And I think we're all Andrew might come solo in his own car so he can kind of have that flexibility back and forth. But even to the point where they're like, can we invite somebody else? Like they have their buddy who they want to kind of reciprocate, who's taken them on a couple of trips, who
That's
wasn't
great.
Who's
coming. Max.
Yeah.
Francis, yeah.
That's great.
So, but I'd say that I don't know if it's going to work out or whatever, but we have enough room in the tent. That's for sure.
Yeah.
That thing is huge.
Love it.
It's so awesome. It turns the car into a camper. It's
Really? You want one
it
of those?
attaches to the back of the car.
Yeah, we want to get one of those. for
So
display, yeah.
freaking awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Kids are pretty amazing when you give them a little space. Just give them a little
Uh-huh.
bit of expectation, but give
Uh-huh.
them space to figure stuff out.
Yeah.
Like Erin on a 10-day trip. Oh my God.
I bet you she was amazing.
She was amazing. But her thing was like, when we finally made it to Grand Canyon and we're in a cabin, she's like, I want s'mores and I want Jiffy Pop. And I don't care what else we do outside, like Jiffy Pop popcorn.
You don't know what Jiffy Pop is?
I'm sorry, I was speaking another language. What's Jiffy Pop?
You don't know what Jiffy Pop is?
No.
Wow.
It's like the foil tray of popcorn you put over
it's
a fire.
Oh, okay.
Which you're not
I've
actually
seen- I know
supposed to
it's
put it
called.
over the fire directly. It's supposed to be on a consistent flame. It says do not cook over open flame.
Let me tell you something. I cooked it over an open
But
flame.
you totally
Yeah,
can.
made it work.
Yeah, you got to keep it. If it has like a grate, one of
Yeah.
those like grates of it, that's a better. It'll work a little bit better.
Yeah.
But the boys we bought two,
Yeah.
which again, we're in the grocery store, we're buying them, and they get Jiffy Pop, and then they look, they're like, we should probably get two because the first one's always the
It's
best.
first pancake.
So the first one they did it was gonna work. They forgot to take the paper off the top.
Oh,
So it
rookie
didn't, it
move.
didn't pop. The second one,
Oh,
they
man.
crushed it.
That sounds like such a me move. I would totally have done
Learn
that.
from our mistakes, man.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Cool. I don't know. My gratitude, I feel like, I don't know, it's kind of obvious. It's been a long couple of weeks and just the people here have been awesome. I could go on forever, but I just I was telling you, I think last week or one day or whatever it was, just like, this is my happy place. Like, obviously Meg and the kiddos are a happy place for me, but it's also like coming down here, and it's not that I'm not trying to distract myself per se, because it's important to, but it's just support. And there's this thing that I love doing, and where I was concerned that I wouldn't be the best version of myself because my mind was elsewhere. Sometimes I felt like I was in an even better place when I was here coaching, because I don't know, it's all I had to think about. It's all I had to think about. And I didn't have to worry about anything. So it was, so just everyone in the support and like rolling through. And like last week, you said like, hey, if you need to take the week off, take the week off. And I coached, and I was like, let me do Tuesday, Thursday. I've got some other stuff going on, but it was great. I'm so glad I coached Tuesday, Thursday, because I was also going like a little nutty. And plus, like with everything that's going on, I was like, I've missed a lot. I haven't worked out as much as I would have liked to in the last few weeks. I've definitely like eaten
a couple extra pieces of pizza and Chinese food.
Oh my
Maybe
God.
the Chinese food on top of the pizza.
Like I'm
rolled into a stromboli.
so like emotionally and mentally and physically drained. Like, talk about a wall of awful, right? Like, man, this thing is higher than it's ever been.
We'll get back to where the nano meets the road.
Yeah,
We got time. We got time.
Reset. So anyway, I really, 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 really just appreciate every single person here and being here, and like you guys, and just, I don't know. I'm so happy. This is what I get to do
man.
with my life. And then just in reflecting too, like with this, I get to be with my family so much, which is so important. So anyway, that's it.
And a better version of yourself when you're with them, because you had this place. It's not an escape or distraction.
No.
And you never used it as that. You did awesome.
And it works both
Arguably
ways
awesome.
though. Like your consistency with the beats and the classes still returns the favor.
Right.
So
it's awesome. So thank you for this place.
I have a dad joke.
Oh
Did it.
yeah. Do it.
From my dad. So a little context, my dad had COVID in the hospital for 5 months. So he's mentally doing better mentally and physically, but there's some issues. So it's never given me a dad joke. And I got one 2 days ago. Question: what do you call a grandmother who's on speed dial?
Oh my gosh. I haven't heard this one.
You haven't?
No.
What do you call grandmother is on speed dial? Speedy nanny?
Okay. So there's a 2-hour gap to the answer.
Oh geez. You've got to figure it out.
And I got to figure, because
Do you think he
couldn't-
forgot?
he
to send-
he forgot.
to send you
He
the-
forgot the answer.
Oh, shoot.
So this is like the COVID fog. He forgot the answer. So of course I go to the
Yeah, you're
internet
Googling
and I
it.
find
Yeah,
it.
Yeah.
Grandma on speed dial.
Come on.
Are you going to give us a 2-hour gap?
Yes. Do we have to get-
Instagram.
Instagram. Oh, that's a good one.
That is good.
All right, brother. Yeah.
Good to be back.
Heck
Thank you.
yeah. Good to have you back. And we will see you.
On the creek.
Yeah. Well done.
There
Well
you go.
done.
He is back.
He is back.
So thanks.
Awesome.